boats that you're likely to come across, the boats that you're likely to come across are all roughly, I don't know, they fall into a group, and concentrate on those, then you will become an authority on those, and then that'll be good, and you'll get a nice lot of surveying work. And when people have got a problem, they'll say, "Oh, we tried old John, he knows all about that." And that's the way to go. But it is true that the questions in the paper, some of them you're never going to have anything to do with in real life at all. Nobody's ever going to come to you a question about the strength of an ocean liner. You're never going to be to do with that. But you might, and I have hundreds of times. I started off, my dad was a very keen yachtsman, yachty boat, well, not yachtsman, that's the wrong word to say. He loved messing about in boats. And I used to hang about in the boatyard when I was 10 years old. And I was apprenticed in a shipyard. So I had made aluminium boats with my own hands, obviously with much better blokes, better workmen than I was. And that's a great help, because when I look in the book, I could have written a bloody book myself. Look at the boat that you've got. Now, when you've got to answer these questions, you will have to do it by research. You'll have to get hold of a book and read about it. Have you got any books at all about naval architecture?
I've got one or two that I've downloaded, and my boss has kindly offered to me. But if you could offer me any titles, that would be fantastic.
Well, see this one here. I don't know if you can see there. It says it backwards because this is mirrored, but it's Baxter's Naval Architecture.
Yeah.
I think it cost me £14 English, and it's printed about 50 miles from here down at Southampton. But it may be out of print at the moment. You can get second-hand copies. It used to be marketed as Teach Yourself Naval Architecture.
Oh, right, okay.
And I remember my old college tutor waving it over his head and said, "You've all got to go out and get a copy of this." That was in, I don't know, 1958 or something. And it's easy. That's the great thing about it. It's easy to understand. Otherwise, there are loads of them.
Yeah.
I bought this one last week. It's called Ship Hydrostatics and Stability. It cost me £22, I think, on Amazon. Yeah. Adrian Biran, he's an Indian guy, Adrian Biran. It's a bit top of the range, really, but it's a bloody good book. There's Tupper. What's this crap here? There you go, look, my dad bought me that when I was 10 years old. That's Barnaby, Basic Naval Architecture.
Barnaby.
You can get a copy of Barnaby. It is probably the best of the best. And it's not that difficult to follow along, because I was doing it and working out my rubbish when I was a kid. Again, if you want a proper bibliography, because you've got other things to do, ask the office. I gave them a list of books 10 years ago now, but I will update that, or I will send you an actual list on paper. These books come up on Amazon cheap, 3 or 4 or 5 quid sometimes, or sometimes they're more than that. But if you're living in Australia, the shipping will be terrifying. The cost of shipping a book out to Australia is 5 times more than the book is. There are lots of reputable sources in Australia. It's not a backward place at all. They have libraries and all the rest of it. But you will not be able to cope with any of the stuff unless you get some books that you can read up on. That follows, because there's all sorts of stuff that's just
Well,
you don't live in Bali, do you? Do you live in Bali? You've gone.
I do, yes, I do.
Oh, well, I don't know that.
No, I'm still here.
Bali, because it's a different language there. Start with see this, the book here?
Yeah, no, I live in Bali.
Yeah. Well, this book here actually matches the exam paper. It was written, this and the exam paper were all written by the same guy under the government's instructions, and they match, right? So as you go through the book, it answers the questions that are in the exam paper.
Yeah.
So that's a help. The other thing to do is go on the web.
Oh, sorry, what book was that, sir?
And you will find masses of information
Yeah.
there. Masses and masses and masses and masses. That's my book there. And it's entirely full. Whoops. Look at this. This says on the top here, a complete guide to understand damage stability better. Good, it's easy to read. My sea time. Type my sea time in the web and then follow it through and you'll find it. And all sorts of stuff like that. And sadly, you are meant to do this research. That is what the government had in mind. They wanted you to sit down and learn all about it.
Yeah.
But there's only so much you can do, isn't there? Best thing in the world, when you're stuck, ask me.
Sure.
Get on the old line there and ask me. Now, I haven't spoken to our other mate there.
Cool.
Another gentleman up there. I'm just going to sort of click off you, John, for a moment and click onto him because I haven't spoken to him. Olivia, hello. Can you see me?
Hello.
Okay. Cool.
Can you see me? Can you hear me? No, you've frozen.
I do. Yes, I do.
Hi there.
I do it.
There you go. I was talking to the other student. You asking me, did you hear what we were talking about?
Yeah, you was talking about books, things where we can find information.
Unfortunately, the quality is very poor, and it's not easy to hear what you are saying. Is that the same for you? You look, your expression says you cannot hear what I'm saying properly. No, you've gone. I think we have a problem. Olivia, where are you?
I can still hear you, Carey.
The whole thing's gone down.
I think he's in Switzerland.
Is he?
If I remember correctly.
About as far from the sea as you can get, John. But there you go.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, landlocked.
Olivia, can you hear me at all?
Olivier. You call Olivier?
I hear sounds. Good.
Yeah, I hear you. Do you?
It is very, very bad reception. You have to speak very slowly. And very
I'm sorry.
Are you in Switzerland?
Yes, I do.
You live there?
I am in Switzerland.
I see. Are you?
Yeah, I do live there. I'm working there.
Yes, that's good. And you speak French normally?
Yes.
That's good. My French is
Full
not
French,
not as good as your English. Olivia, how may I help you? What can I do to help you? Are you just sitting in to hear what goes on, or have you got a specific question?
Not yet, no. I don't have a specific question. I just it's just hard to dive into the books and learning alone without a structure.
Right. These are the things that's best for you to do. I am one assessor out of a big lot of us. There's a whole lot of us. Each unit has a different guy that looks after it. Okay. Some of them their paper is only picked up about, I don't know, twice a year or something, and they are not very helpful because they do so little. I have got here 100 students I've dealt with in the last 3 or 4 months, right? Lots and lots of them. So I do not mind giving you tuition. Does that explain. I will help you as much as I can. You can write to me on the email.
Thank you.
Ask Catherine, she'll give you the address. Write to me on the email and say, I cannot understand this, or I cannot see this, or this is too difficult, or what, or tell me a source of. Students will ask me for the title of a book, or where to look up information. We used to give actual lectures. We don't do it anymore. But I used to give a lecture in naval architecture. Turn up there, the students sat there all day. I have also had, sorry, I talked too quickly. Students right there beside me. Students come because they live not far away. Come and sit right beside me and go through this, that, or the other. You can't do that because it's too far. But you can you can write to me on the email through the office or directly.
Yes.
This is supposed to always have copies, but you can write to me, and I will be happy to write back to you and explain what you need to know. But perhaps you just heard me talking to John.
Yes, that's exactly that.
And saying that unfortunately the course expects you, it's a government course, the course expects you to do a lot of reading and research. And I was showing there that for this course, this is this book here, which you probably download from, from the site, right?
Plus this, plus this, Yes. I'm full of books.
Yeah.
I'm a Swiss professional boat builder.
Oh,
yeah.
This one is the course.
But I really need to know.
Free.
I really need to know to where.
Sorry, it matches the exam paper. What it says in here matches the questions. Well, that is a bloody great big help because it's a very good book indeed. And the guy who wrote it wrote the exam paper as well, and which wasn't me. Okay, and it's a good book. It's not too difficult. It covers things in 1 or 2 pages without having to dive through pages and pages of other stuff. And you need that book. Start with that. The next thing to do is be happy or delighted to write to me, and I will write back. Yeah, usually a day or something like that. The next place to go is on the web. If you type in the words that are there, the web will come up with about 200 answers. There's lots and lots of naval architecture on the web, covering all of the subjects. You can find it in French, or if you look in the English one, you'll find it in English, but it'll be in French as well. France has excellent naval architecture and excellent shipyards, and they do all that kind of thing very well indeed. At least as well as anybody else in the world. So that you've got a fair range of resources there. If you want to buy books, I should think buying the English ones is, apart from that one I just showed you, is heavy going for you, is it? Or do you read English comfortably?
I try to.
Reading textbooks in a foreign language is awful. There are excellent French books covering all of these subjects, excellent ones, just as good as you could get in America or Britain or anywhere else at all. And but I don't know the titles because they are French ones. We mostly.
I can show you some if you like. Wait.
Okay.
This one is perfect.
Yep. That will be an excellent book. I think you will find.
Yeah, it's from Dominique Presle.
Yep.
And it's full of details, calculation. But I really need to know to where we have to go to become a marine surveyor? Because there is plenty things I don't think we need to know, like resistance in the water. I don't think it's very important for a marine surveyor.
I didn't understand that, sorry. You're saying that you do not have enough sources, you do not have access. Are you able to find enough books to cover all the subjects?
I will write you an email.
Yes, send me an email, yes. That would be good. That would be the way forward. It probably work all the time instead of this bloody thing. I will have to have a little go at them in the office. I think they've gone off to lunch and sort this program out because it's not very good. But there, it's not impossible. There you go. I have letters from
fairness,
some of them, but I write back in English. Sorry about that. My wife speaks fluent French. She was at school in France, and, and that's worse for me because I let her do it. And I don't know. When we are with French people, she speaks all the time, and I sit there like a dummy. And I don't know what they're talking about. But yes, I do speak a little French, but it's lousy. Lousy is the answer. I can get by. I used to drive a truck in France when I was a student, delivering boats, and the people were very, very kind and put up with it. But we only learned how to ask for fuel and coffee and ask for a menu. That was about it. We didn't know much more. No good with girls at all. Such is life. I think that's it. Now, well, I've only had the 2 students so far, your good self and John there. And I do not have another one. Oh, Fletcher, who's Fletcher? I've got one up here. I'm going to click on to somebody else now, Olivia. Hello? I haven't even got a picture for him. No, 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 no.
No, I think he's gone.
I think he's gone. He got fed up and went. I can understand that. Catherine, is Catherine still there? No, I've got Olivia. John, I don't know whether
I can still see the office.
There. Can you hear me now?
Sorry?
Says your bandwidth.
I can hear you, yes, loud and clear, Carey.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Good. Oh, it's something about Bali, isn't it? And I don't know. We round here. I bought this new little house, and it's supposed to have very good connections. It's not bad, not bad, not bad. This is release 10, is it called? I don't know. Microsoft 10. It seems quite a good program. I've got another computer there that I use a lot. Now, there are only you, Olivier, and an empty office. That's to be it. Again, back to you. Did you hear what I was saying to the nice guy from Switzerland? And he was saying it would be best to write to me. Because
yes, I heard him. The one thing, yes.
Hello?
Flaky connections.
Yeah,
hello?
I don't know whether it should go full screen or not. No, best thing about this system is that it's
screen at the moment.
You have to pay a load of money to get onto it, but it doesn't work. You can see. I don't know whether that's a problem that might have, whether it's a problem general.
Yeah.
From Fletcher to everyone. Hi, Carey. I have the same tech issues with bandwidth, but I am watching.
I don't know.
That's Fletcher there. I don't know whether I'm just going to click on Fletcher and say, Fletcher, can you hear me, good sir, Mr. Fletcher? Hello. There's Such is life. I don't know that I can say much more. You're going to write to me, which is wise. Do start off, Olivia, with the idea.
Pardon?
Calculation part, that it is the students, such as you, have most difficulty and most resubmissions because of the calculations. There is a question on calculations.
Yeah.
They are baffled because it's all strange to them, but actually the calculations are very easy. No more difficult than a shopping list. And so getting familiar with them will sort it for you. Again, if you have difficulty, write to me and I'll send you an example or whatever. Unfortunately, it won't be in French, but I'll go through one with you and something like that. That is why, overwhelmingly, those are the questions that the students have to make resubmission for. I don't know if you've been, have you done any of the other units?
Pardon, I wrote the units and I made a professional boat builder school years ago, and no, it will be okay. It's
okay, good. There again, if you're doing one of the boat building ones, it's best of all, you need to have actually done the damn work. If you have worked on a similar vessel, then you will know about it. I have worked in a shipyard. I've worked in them all my life. That's what I've done. I'm an old retired guy, you see, and that's why they're telling me I'm cheap. But I have been in shipyards. I've done woodwork, steel work, aluminium work. I can weld, all those kind of things I can do myself, and lots and lots of wooden boats. My first wooden boat I made with my dad. I was 13, I think, and we made a boat.
Yeah, I was 15.
Learn a bit. So it's, in that sense, it is easy for me. And a lot of the other people come from other backgrounds. Perhaps they were in sales, perhaps they were, I don't know what they were doing this stuff, like John is in diving boats. Ask me, that is the way forward. That is the way forward. Again, if you can find a friend in Switzerland who is already as well, Switzerland's not full of surveyors at all, but if you can find a mate or somebody you know who is already in that subject, you find a boat yard or find a yard that does that work, don't be afraid to go and ask them. Don't be afraid to go and ask. You'll find people are very, very kind and helpful, and be pleased to show off their knowledge. Learn more in one afternoon in a shipyard, in a boatyard, than you would from all the books in the world. You see the man do it. Oh, it's all clear then. That is the way. Now, I don't know, there's an awful lot more that I can, there's not, it is difficult for you and I to continue to make conversation when we have already covered the subjects. By all means sit in, but I've only got you and John and Fletcher, who is, haven't got a picture for him because his bandwidth won't sustain it. It says there, I don't know, I'm going to go back and talk to John a little bit more. But here I go, he is in Bali, which is further away than Switzerland is by a lot. Here I go. Hello, John. I don't know why I don't have a full, what happens if I just click on that? Press S. No, it won't have it. Part of the problem is me. Gallery, exit, gallery.
Yeah.
Gallery. And I'm probably talking to everybody the same, not necessarily to you, John. I have come to computers late in life. I am very much older than I look, if you can imagine that. And so computers to me only came to me in very late life. And I've got two of them here. And I sit and work on them all day and every day, but I am not familiar with this program. I don't know why the bloody thing isn't working, but I think the problem is there in the office, not here, or general ones with general bandwidths and band speeds and all that. If you were living just down the road, we would probably be able to have a lively chat all together. I can see that there's Mike on the phone, but such is life.
Yeah.
What else can you think of that you might like to ask me? Not a lot, really. Has the thing frozen? No, it's working again. I can see you move a bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm still here. I can hear you.
Yeah, that's John, is it?
But now you've gone.
Have I?
Oh, yes.
Both of them. See, Olivia's getting up and going away.
Yeah, the connection is not the.
It's terrible.
It's not very good. It's not very good.
Is
Carey, can I just ask you one thing?
Yes.
Can you just repeat the name of when you say type into the Google search? What was it?
Google, the Google guy, the web one.
When you said type.
What did I say? See this one here. My C time. He's a deck officer.
I can't see it. My what? What's it called?
My C, like the ocean, C time, myseatime.com.
My C time.
myseatime.com.
Yeah.
I think he's a retired skipper or something like that. And good stuff. It is one of dozens.
Right, okay.
I have so many here. I don't know.
Okay.
This book. I cannot carry the whole world of shipping in my head, so I have. Oops, it's got coming. There's also too much light in here. I don't think the camera is coping very well. But I have got. I got a whole book full of stuff here, which I refer to. They're my reference books, and a whole rack of. I've got a whole shelf of books that I have built up over my lifetime, and some of them are a bit out of date.
Right, okay.
Surprisingly, not as much as you would think.
Okay.
I suppose one of the best ones.
Yeah, I can't imagine the.
I can't go through all these books. It's all too much. But some of these books, or some of this stuff, was honestly written in Queen Victoria's day, but it still applies, and it's better than you'd think. There isn't as much modern stuff as you'd like.
Yeah, sure.
But for you in Bali, I don't know whether they would have a holiday place. I don't know whether they would have much industrial information available. See, I can go up to the city library here, or the one at Southampton, and go in and ask them, and they've got huge access to every book that was ever written. I've also got Southampton University down there, and my good mate down there. They're very, very helpful, but you can't access those people.
Yeah.
Which is so. Is there much shipbuilding in Bali? I don't know. They probably build wooden ships, don't they?
No, unfortunately.
Don't they? There's a huge amount of wooden shipbuilding.
We do. We build a lot.
Gone.
Yeah, we build boats in Kendari in Sulawesi.
Oh yeah.
Can you hear me, Carey?
Yes, I can hear about 3 words out of 4.
Carey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So we.
Gone.
Okay. So we build traditional Indonesian style penises, which are made from ironwood, ulin, and we build them in Kendari in Sulawesi, or Bira in Sulawesi. And they were traditionally basically sailing vessels that used to use the trade winds up and down the archipelago of Indonesia. And basically we build them now, and we make them into beautiful diving vessels.
Yes.
Operating in areas like Raja Ampat, the Banda Sea, Komodo, run these penises in Palau, in Fiji, in the Philippines, in Thailand, obviously here in Indonesia. So I've had quite a little bit of experience with the construction side of the vessels, working with Indonesian craftsmen, using, tools that they were using 50 years ago, no power tools or anything like that. Even going through the keel laying ceremonies where they, once the keel is laid, they cut the goat's throat, and one of the head haji, who's like the head boat builder, he has to cut through the keel, and it's continuous by hand.
Yeah.
And obviously the tradition is that if he stops during the ceremony, then the keel has bad luck.
Oh dear, yeah. Well, there you go. In Australia, they make a lot of aluminium boats.
Yeah.
And they're very good. When you work, when you're going to go and do some surveying, where is that?
It can be anywhere. We've done surveying work here in Bali. We do surveying work up in Beera, in Kendari, Manado, Raja Ampat, wherever the vessel.
Across a range of different kinds of boats. Yeah.
We've had a look at fishing boats. We've had a look at a couple of small super yachts. Yeah. We had one incident not so long ago. We had a super yacht. And it had a fire in the stern tube because the water cooling for the stern tube, the pipes were blocked. So obviously the degradation in the fibre work. Yeah. So we were involved with sourcing a fiberglass guy to actually rebuild the stern tubes of this super yacht. And so we were quite heavily involved with that. But again, the penises, and obviously we've been asked about some the fishing vessels in Darwin, through IIMS. Getting involved with maybe taking on the contract for doing the periodic surveys for the fishing vessels. So our portfolio is growing nicely. And because of my background in obviously engineering, I've done a few engineering surveys, just looking at engine rooms for people, advising on pumping systems, advising on firefighting systems. So even though not carrying out sort of insurance surveys or evaluation surveys, just going to have a look at people's boats and advising them. Yeah, just advising people where they should be heading with their operation. I'm getting a lot of on-the-job experience, plus doing, all my other work as well, and obviously trying to study as well. I choose normally. Yeah, Sundays are normally my study day. So I try to kind of concentrate on a Sunday for doing all my studying. And maybe one or two nights throughout the week, I'll spend an hour or two. But sometimes it's a little bit difficult. Obviously, last weekend I was away up in Raja Ampat with a client, and so I didn't manage to get my Sunday studying in. Tomorrow I fly to Thailand, so Sunday I probably won't get my studying in there. So next week while I'm in Thailand, I'm going to have a week off and do a bit of catching up with all my studying.
My eldest daughter lives in Thailand. The time limit on the process. If you have a problem, contact the office. They will try and fix your extensions and that kind of thing, which they usually are successful. Sometimes students run way over or come back later or something. John, we've got another gentleman here, Gordon Campbell here. Mr. Campbell, sir, can you hear me?
Oh, hi. Yep.
Hi there. We are
my pleasure.
with the program.
No. There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Sorry
this
about
sounds
there's
like
too
a
much
microphone.
sunshine in here. My bald head shines out.
Right.
There you go. Whereabouts are you? May I call you Gordon? I'm Carey.
Yeah. No, I'm based in,
Everybody in the trade calls me Carey.
I'm based in Auckland in New Zealand. So it's midnight
Oh,
here.
right. Lovely. Can you hear me okay? You can.
Yes, yeah, perfectly. Yeah, no, I've been listening to John there, and yeah, cool. Yeah,
You've got a good computer there with a good connection. That's fine.
yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
got anything specific that you would like to ask me, or are you sitting in to get to join in a general conversation?
Oh, just wasn't too sure what was going to happen. Actually, I'm sort of a bit new to all this, but I know, just happy to go along with what's happening here. I've been John's talked about
That's
it a bit.
fine. Really, I think the things that I'm saying to people is that the course involves a lot of research and reading.
Yes, right.
The mathematical parts of it, although they look a pain to people who've not seen them before, are in fact very, very easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I work with a firm of naval architects, a high-powered firm of naval architects, and they would do that kind of stuff on the back of an envelope and think nothing of it.
Right.
But for you not being familiar with it, it's much more difficult. Have you?
Yeah, I had a bit of a look at that with the stability module, and yeah, I sort of wish I paid more attention in high school with calculus and that.
Well, if you do calculus, you're a long way ahead of this.
Yeah. No, I was anyway. I've got a friend here, a colleague who has done this course, and he's going to help me out with some of the formula and that.
That is extremely advantageous.
Yeah.
Have you downloaded this book here, which is coming up back to front on the screen?
Yeah, no, that's the right way. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm saying to the others that this book was written by the guy, really nice guy, who also wrote the exam paper.
Right.
He's clever as hell, but the two things go hand in hand. So work along with that, and then research from other sources beside that. Also, I was saying to John and Olivia, do not be afraid to write to me, because it will come through in an hour from you to hear it. Ask Catherine; she'll give you the detail in the office. She'll give you the details, right?
No, she's been very helpful. She's been really good.
She's great. And if you're stuck, you can easily get stuck on just one thing or one source of research or something. Well, just ask me, and I will sort that out as best I can for you.
Okay, no, that's cool. All right. No, I did. Did I contact you? I think I was just about the amount of detail I needed to go into as well. That was when I was trying to get my head around a bit. But anyway, I've got that figured out now. So
I advise students about things like that. Tell them how to actually answer the question, because that is important. You see, sometimes I get a student who writes 40 pages on question 1.
Yes, you said it.
Pitches out, and it's all too much. And you only have to. What you have to do is satisfy. I'm just the upfront assessor. There's another guy behind me who checks up to see if I'm doing the job properly, and then other guys behind him who work together. And they are, first of all, they don't know the first bloody thing about boats, and secondly, they are stuffy and picky. And so if you write 40 pages, only read the first 10 lines, and you need to just you should be able to answer the whole of task 2. That's this one. I don't know, 30 pages is good, I suppose. It's not hard, it's not set in stone or anything, but if you don't answer enough, if you don't write enough, then you'll get a thing back from me saying you have not explored this enough depth.
Yeah, that's the thing, the level I need to go to, I guess, but that's what I think I've got it figured out. Yeah,
okay, that's good, and I don't know, New Zealand is a nice seagoing place, and they have libraries and what have you. The web is your best source if you haven't got lots and lots of books. The books are all a pain in the arse. I've got loads of them, but I've had them all my life, and
Right.
every page of them. You can get books on Amazon, by the way, cheaply.
I got a copy of that metals and corrosion booklet that he wrote it. It was mentioned in the course notes there. Is it metal corrosion in boats?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a copy of that. That's been very good.
That'll help you know, and that's right. But as I say, if you look on Amazon, second-hand books, type in architecture or shipbuilding or wood shipbuilding or whatever you want, they always have books which other students are selling off, and they are much cheaper. Unfortunately, if you live in New Zealand, the shipping costs, they fly them out there, are much more than the cost of the boat.
I found
already in Australia or New Zealand.
Yeah, I found a copy on our local trading site, Trade Me here. So it was sourced locally, so it's quite good. Anyway, yeah.
Now, there you go. My son lives in Brisbane.
Oh, okay, I've been there a few times. I'm going there soon.
Well, he works for an import-export company, and I think he comes to New Zealand from time to time, but I don't suppose that makes a lot of difference. I wish I could get out there myself, but I'm too old.
Oh, you can never be too old. As long as you're standing on the days and not pushing them up, then you're not too old.
I'm older than you think. I look old, but I'm older than that by far. All the assessors are, because inevitably we're retired.
Yeah.
We can afford people who are still it's largely voluntary.
Right. I've got to keep yourself occupied though.
Yeah. So you don't have anything specific you want to ask me about particular. Have you actually started doing the paper yet?
Yeah. So I'm working on the materials one and that, and I've sort of got a good start on that. I've stalled the last few weeks, so I'm doing a big renovation on the house. I mean, building a great big retaining wall out the back of the house with a digger and trucks and everything. So I've stalled out on the study a bit for the last few weeks, but no, I'm a fair way down the track with it, with the assignment.
Perhaps one of the biggest difficulties that the students have is they get into it, and it turns out at the end that they haven't really grasped what the question was. They did not read the question carefully.
Yeah.
If the answer you give doesn't match the question, I have no choice but to say redo it.
Yeah, I understand that.
I have a free hand in that. I get checked up on all the time, and so somebody else is going to read it after me. And if they don't agree with my assessment, happily they usually do. But if they don't, then I get overruled.
I heard someone who's sort of been in university not that long ago, and she's sort of been helping me out with actually how to interpret the question properly and connect the two together. So I've got that bit figured out quite well actually. So I think I'm on the right track with it. Yeah.
Well, right at the beginning, there's a question that says, how would you advise a potential client who came and asked you because they wanted to build an ocean cruising yacht, I think it is. I do a lot of other work like this. An ocean cruising boat. And the question is actually expecting you to imagine you had a client sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
And say, well, look, you could have one of these, you bloody sight wiser to go and buy a second-hand one. But you could have a fiberglass one, or an aluminium one, or a timber one, or a steel one.
Yeah.
Or something. You have a concrete
benefits
one.
Of each.
Get a concrete one down at Gosport. And you really only have to write a paragraph or so about each one. There's no point in trying to really exhaustively go into the fine details, but you do have to have an idea about approximately how long it would take to build, which is always about 4 times as long as the time considerably thought.
Absolutely, yeah.
The bloke sitting in front of you, when it comes down to it, it's all about the money.
Yeah.
He thinks he's got a happy dream in his mind, which is about a tenth of the amount of money.
Not the reality.
And particularly the people who think, I get a lot of students who think that they're going to make a one-off fiberglass boat or one-off fiberglass one.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to set off to make plugs and molds and get a designer on the job and all the rest of it. Wow, that is going to cost a lot of money and it's going to take years. When we're down there, when we're bringing out a new model on the market for a production boat, the run up to that is 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
And we've got loads of blokes standing about who are used to it and the management that all fits together and all that kind of thing. So you have to come up and say, oh, well, obviously one of the ways is to go and buy a production hull. Any of the companies that do production boats will sell you a production hull and deck. And then you're 3/4 of the way forward already. It'd be much cheaper and much quicker. But there you go. Those are all things to look at. But you do have to, when you're writing each bit, say, if you build an aluminium boat, aluminium is more expensive than the steel is. But okay, that's not the big price. The big price is those lads working on it for years.
Yes, exactly.
So it's not so bad. In my opinion, if I was younger and I was going to have a boat now, I'd probably have an aluminium one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They got an awful lot. They stand up to it far better.
Yeah, there's a lot of aluminium ferries down here. Working in the ferries, I've worked in the ferry industry. There's a lot of aluminium ferries plying their trade back and forward around here, and a few aluminium yachts around. So it's quite a big, well-used product down here.
It's a good thing here in the UK. They're all fiberglass. Everything you see is fiberglass. Although, if I go over there to Marina, they have a section set off for classics, which are all wooden boats, and some of those are absolutely immaculate, and they're more than 100 years old. They still sail fine. They're still good. They're still
absolutely. I saw the old Thames barges when I was up in the UK. They're just these old boats, and amazing things.
All fiberglass. Aluminium. We don't do much aluminium for some reason or other. Although I used to have a mate had an aluminium factory down there. We made boats. We made loads of them. I think he exported most of them.
There's a lot of composite boats being built down here now.
A pretty daughter, I remember, who's an old person like me now.
There's a lot of composite boats being built here now. A lot of carbon race boats and even carbon cruising boats.
Yeah.
And quite a few custom boat builders are using more traditional composites, fiberglass and that, but they're actually rivaling the cost of going down the semi-custom production boat. So there seems to be quite a bigger part of our industry here.
There are a lot of guys in the world now who are very, very rich indeed. The world's moved on and their place. And but the people like that tend to go for big names when they're getting. Unless you're a very famous surveyor, you won't get near them.
Oh yeah. Well, the very popular launches down here, the Rivieras that have come out of Australia, and the Maritimos.
Yeah.
You got proper money.
Boats, yes.
Yeah, the production boat, but was a friend of mine just bought a 65-foot Maritimo with 800 horsepower EMANs in it, just 800 horsepower Caterpillars in it. Sorry, yeah.
It must be a pretty good life hunting around that in New Zealand, I would have thought. New Zealand is pretty far south, but the weather's not that bad. And we've got people here who are sailing in the north of Britain or even Scotland. And truly, you might as well be in the Arctic for what it's like.
It's crazy. I mean, yacht racing on the Blackwater River when I was on the Crouch River when I was in the UK.
Yep.
In late autumn, early December, it's just like, it was cold, all right. It was sleet coming across the bay.
Wet as well.
River up
there you go. So let me go back round the houses and see how we're getting on. Fletcher still has never been able to join in. I don't know. Hello? Don't know. Olivia, have anything come in? Have you heard anything that you caused you to ask another question, or anything you'd like to say? Anything that's come out of? Could you hear what I was saying there?
No, I hear what you say quite well. That's not, the quality is not excellent, but no, it's okay. Thank you.
Okay, that's good, good, good. And the same with you, John. Is that the case? That I don't know. I can't make the thing switch across. Can you hear me, John?
Yep, I can hear you.
Good, 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 good.
Anything
come out of what you heard me saying there to Mr. Campbell?
Yes, I heard every word perfectly. The only thing that comes to mind for me, and again going back to the what I was telling you about the aluminium boat with the explosion.
Yep.
You know, we've looked into, you know, obviously the possible repairs of this Naiad, which is a New Zealand built boat. You know, the insured value was something like $300,000 US.
Yeah.
But working on the 80% factor, you know, just to actually salvage the vessel from where it is, and then get it to somewhere to actually try and make any kind of repairs. Plus, there's like 300 horsepower outboards on it.
Yeah.
You know, and we were exceeding you know, the 240,000 without materials or labour. And then when I think of you know, how labour intensive it is for welding aluminium, you know, and the equipment that you need to use for welding aluminium, I understand why people use aluminium, but again, I still think it's a relatively soft metal, and when it is damaged, it's a lot harder to repair than steel.
The easiest to repair by far and away.
That's what I think.
Steel ones. You can get a steel boat repaired, I don't know, anywhere, in the middle of Africa or somewhere. Everywhere you go, you'll find people who weld and have some local steel business. And first of all, the steel boats stand up to collision damage or any kind of damage much better. So the thing won't be so badly damaged in the first place. But you can straighten them out and bend them straight and whack them straight with a bloody great hammer. And you can't do so much of that with the aluminium. And fiberglass, well, you've got to be in a developed country, really, to have any hope of getting anything done there at all. And it is bloody expensive. And you're saying if you had a boat that had an explosion on it in aluminium, and it's not near a boatyard or it's not near a shipyard, then I should think there's a lot of possibility that boat is going to be written off. You're going to build another one.
Well, yeah, I think it will be written off for sure. But you know, another example of
have you spoken to John Gowan? Gowan, he's the guy that designs them and at Naiad there.
Yeah.
About that boat.
What's his name? John
Gowan. Gowan.
Right, okay,
if it's a Naiad, he'd be the designer of it, more than likely.
Oh, well,
I don't personally know Mr. Gowan, but you'll find that he's only too pleased to help. And if you get him to sit down and work, then he'll send you a bill. But that's life, isn't it? You can't expect him to do anything else. But up front, he will help you and tell you what, you know, give you advice, that kind of thing.
I'll dig up a phone. I've probably got a phone number for him somewhere. I'll dig it up and pass it on to you if you like.
Yeah, good idea.
He'll be quite happy just to take a phone call about that boat and tell you what he can tell you about it and what might be able to be done, you know.
Yeah, sure. That would be fantastic. That'd be really, really cool. Thank you very much.
That's all right.
But, just one other example, talking of aluminium. A company I used to work for, we had a steel vessel that was refitted in Mexico, and we sent it to Truck Lagoon in Micronesia. So if any of you are divers, you will know that that's the mecca for wreck diving. And the guy I was working for, he thought it would be a good idea to build the diving platform out of aluminium.
Oh, no.
And he made a fantastic job of this platform. on a steel boat.
Yeah.
But even the ladders were aluminium, and the lugs that were welded onto the frame to lift the ladders up and down. Obviously, the maiden trip, the ladders fell off, and I was actually on the boat, and I called the owner of the company, and I'm like, dude, whatever possessed you to build an aluminium platform for a boating truck where the people can't even weld steel? And he was like, he was astounded that, you know, in the middle of Micronesia, that these people couldn't weld aluminium, and I'm just like,
it's not so easy. I've been to welding school, and I can do steel welding, arc welding, to a good standard, even now today. But I would not attempt to weld any aluminium. I've got a mate over here who's got a little business, and he's a lovely welder. He does it all. But you really need to be on top. You need to have the right equipment to start, which is different for the very thin and the thicker stuff.
I guess
is that about it? But the other thing is that if you're making a commercial boat or a diving platform, anything like that, it's going to get rammed every day about 50 times, and really steel does that best. If you had a wooden one and you had to have that repaired, well, it's going to cost you a bloody fortune, and the thing won't stand up anyway. So really steel for commercial. But my old dad had a friend who had a 20-ton steel schooner. Lovely boat it was, but it never looked anything. It was steel, and unless you repainted it every 9 months, it never looked anything. The paint surface looked not quite right. It never quite.
Yeah, sure.
It was like doing the fourth bridge. You were forever painting and sorting it. If it was commercial, it wouldn't have mattered.
No.
I mean, commercial boats look, again, 100 years old and they're still working, and they look awful, but that doesn't matter. They're strong enough for what they do. Well, you can go everywhere. Every harbour you go to has got a bridge or a pontoon or something else made of steel, and it's old as the hills. It was old when your grandfather was born, but it's still there. But not an aluminium one. Also, the aluminium ones suffer disastrously from galvanic action if you are unfortunate enough to park the boat near the wrong thing, or it wasn't properly protected in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Difficult.
I guess in Auckland we're lucky that all the aluminium boats I deal with, mostly are the commercial local ferries and commuter work boats and things like that.
Yeah.
So we have a big team of lots of certified aluminium welders in Auckland that can weld, and Lloyd certified welders and things like that around. So I guess we got the expertise on hand. Whereas I guess for John, it sounds like a bit further out. So yeah, it's hard to get that sort of thing done.
It's the same in the States. They build lots of aluminium boats and aluminium fishing boats, and again, fixed fairly easily. Not as easily as a steel one would be, but fairly easily. And they have no trouble from them, and they're really good. And that mostly does apply to the ones in the Antipodes. That's Australia and New Zealand. The boats do it, they use them, the boats are good, and they work, and in my opinion, are better than the fiberglass ones that we have here. If you make a fiberglass commercial boat, I don't know, we've got a big harbour here, this Chichester, we have a huge harbour, inland waterway harbour. And it has boats that chug around, taking people for afternoon trips, you know, to see around the harbour. I don't see the sights. Well, you see some seagulls, I guess. They're wooden boats. They're timber. I don't think fiberglass ones would be satisfactory for that.
We have a few.
Lots of people tramping all over them well at all. The fiberglass one. Fiberglass ones have trouble with the decks from their own crew. You know, one of the questions in the paper here is, well, not that paper, in the GRP one is about sandwich construction decks in GRP. They are a disaster, and they always fail. And it costs an unbelievable fortune to sort them out. Aluminium boats, good. Steel boat's fine for commercial work. And obviously when you can't make very small boats in steel. You can't make a 19-foot boat in steel in any sense, because the gauge will have to be too great. Your car's made of steel, but that doesn't matter because it's not the same. But the gauge is what, I don't know, what is it? 20 gauge or something with steel. You push it in and out with your finger. You can't do that with a boat. It has to, so I don't know, commercial boats is the way forward. I'm droning on again. Who's next? Anybody who's got a question to ask or anything to say? There you go. Do you actually live by the sea, near the sea, Gordon? You live, it's the sea.
Oh yeah. We're surrounded by ocean down. It's surrounded by the water down here in Auckland. Yeah, city of sails.
Oh right, yeah.
Big commercial port, shipping. There's high-speed ferries and work boats, and big marina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sea is just about 400 yards over there.
Oh, very nice.
On the sea, and Chichester Harbour is just 1.5 miles, which is a huge harbour with about 20 yards on it. And Southampton is 20 miles from here, which is on the Solent, which is one of the yachting centres of the world.
Yes, I did my Asian Yacht Master on the Solent.
Yeah. Yeah, that was when I was a kid. Me and my brother were forever sailing about on there. Those are the happiest days of my life.
Yeah, no, that's nice.
Boats and on the Solent, and I don't know. The thing is that you couldn't sail there really from November through to May. You really laid the boats up. You can't. It's not
too cold.
Nice. You do go out there at Christmas, but it's not very nice. Go out for about an hour and you're frozen to death.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to see, just some dead seagulls floating in the water and some bits of old seaweed. No other boats, or hardly any other boats. In the summer, you can't see the horizon for the boats.
No, luckily I was there for in the summer working on a charter boat up there in the summer season on the Solent, so got to see it at its best.
Yeah. I know you get quite a good season in Auckland, don't you?
Oh yeah, we've just had an awesome summer. Hot, 30 degrees. Tropical, nearly tropical.
Yeah,
it's just got cold now.
Perhaps as it is in Australia, because Australia is a much bigger landmass. You've got water around you, you've got sea around you.
Yes, it keeps us a bit cooler, keeps us a bit level-headed.
But it's incredibly popular there. Well, what's my friends? I don't know. I got very old and I can't think of people's names, but a couple there, they live. Oh, I can't remember where the bloody hell they live. They've got quite a nice boat and they sail a lot. They're getting old now. They must be in their 70s.
Papa Towie Towie.
Papa Towie Towie.
I don't know.
South
Auckland. Anyway, get back to the, I'm dribbling on about all sorts of things, but getting back to the exam paper. Lay out your paper like the question paper is. Don't dot the questions about or put them on other bits of paper. Sometimes I get them come in and they've done all the calculations on one paper in one program and the text in another one in another program and the photographs in JPEG in another document.
Yes.
If it's not too bad, I do my best with it, but it drives you mad. And when it gets past me to the others, they won't even look at them. You get to the government people, they won't even look at it. So if it goes past me and gets as far as them, it's out. That's it. They're all in one thing, all in the one document, either in Word or in PDF. Both those work quite well, and both of them have systems for marking papers that are in them. That is, they have a comment system in them. Really easy to use. You are supposed, I am supposed to check the quality of the English. And the thing is run through a program to check the quality of the English. And it comes up and says how many commas are missing and how many words haven't been spoken and all that crap. And mostly I don't take any notice of that. And even if I get a student from a country who does not speak English very well, if I can understand it clearly and know what he means, then I pass it through. But for you who speak, not so much for But for you two gentlemen who both speak, what I say, normal English is your everyday perfect thing, just lay out the paper as the exam questions are. Stick your photographs in there, stick your diagrams in there if you've got any. If you download anything from the web and stick it in there, for God's sake, say where it came from.
Yeah, no, I've got that one pretty clear.
A lot of students who think that they can answer the questions by downloading something from the web. And the examiners hate that. They want to know what you know, not what the web knows. And they would rather get a poorly written, not terribly well understood bit from you than a beautifully written bit from Wikipedia. Wikipedia. If you do put in, however, photographs and short diagrams and bits from the web, that's okay, or from a book, or indeed photographs that you took yourself, put them in there, and for God's sake, write next to it what it is and where it came from. You're allowed to do that, and that will be acceptable. I'll just look at it and say, oh, it's a photograph of a bit of aluminium or whatever it is, and with a bit of deterioration on it or something, and that's okay. Because otherwise, fair enough, you wouldn't be expected to have access to those things in your own house. Those really are the important things about it. Yeah, you've got to reasonably get it in on date, and if you can't, putting it in at the last minute is not very popular, but let the office know, and they will make an arrangement for that, or sort it out somehow or other. I had one come in, day before yesterday, and Catherine was on the line there saying, can you get this through now by the weekend? I work in other companies, so when a paper comes in, I put it down on the side and get to it when I get to it. But that's usually within a week or 10 days. And it's a good day's work to not one, because you have to do your best with it and see if you can get it right. There you go, that's about that. Can you think of anything else that's about you, or that you would like to know, or what it's like to stand in a bloody boatyard in cold February morning with a camera in one hand and a notepad in the other, while you're looking at any surveying? Writing up the actual paper, writing up the report to the owner. There is a unit about that. Do go on that unit, because you need to be covered legally. You meet the really nice people, but when it comes down to it, they're a load of thieving lying cheats, and they will have a go at a surveyor and say, oh, you didn't tell me about this, and so therefore the cost of repairs are going to be going down to him. I've seen it. So do all that part, do the legalities. My surveys used to have nearly a page and a half of disclaimers and legal bits on the front. I think it was. I don't do them anymore because it's not worth paying for the insurance. But do the disclaimers. The insurance companies will give you disclaimers of their own, because you go and get if you get liability insurance as a surveyor, which you must have, or you'll lose your house. And the insurance companies will give you, no doubt, their own one perhaps, or they'll check out what you've put. Be sure about that. And when you come to write the damn surveys, well, if you write what you put, look at everything. Look at everything. Go right through the boat. Look at everything. The fact that they said, just look at this bit, don't take too much notice of that. Go and look at the rest of it as well. And if you see anything that's wrong, sensibly draw attention to it. Again, I did my first surveys when I was a teenager, and in those days it was easy. I didn't have any insurance or anything else. I just knew a bit about the boats. And then it got much more difficult as life went on. And so I largely stopped doing it. But some of my best friends have made their whole life careers out of surveying. There's much more money in the commercial side of it, way more. With the, I don't know, week's work, weekend's work for surveying somebody's 40-foot yacht. I suppose that's not bad. I don't know, a bit more than that, really, but. And it can take you some nice places, and you see some interesting people and see some lovely boats.
Yeah.
And you generally in beautiful parts of the world or beautiful parts of the country. There you go. What next? Anything?
Just one thing I'd like to ask Carey. I sent an email to Catherine.
Yes.
And I realise as I'm going through the course, there's no actual submission dates for any of the modules. You know, which I find a little bit strange, because then it's very easy to kind of, as Gordon's just said, also, you know, it's very easy to become behind with the studying. So, you know, what kind of advice can you give, you know, for making sure that, you know, we're getting things done, you know, in a timely manner?
There is a closing date, and there is a closing time, and there is a time limit. But because all the students are people like your good self, and you've got to try and fit it in, the office tried to be very generous about it and help you, and they'll write up themselves and sort it out and say, well, this person's it depends what you're doing. If you're doing BTEC, I mean, it most certainly is government controlled and government limited. If you're just doing whatever it's called now, the diploma thing, then we have much more control over that, and we can let it go. We have students who start away, and I don't know, they might be young and they get married or something like that, and it changes their circumstances drastically. And they put the whole thing aside for a couple of years, and they've paid a good lot of money. And if you're going to do that, or you've got that problem, or if it's coming up for whatever reason, even if you're fed up to the back teeth of bloody doing it and you want to put it aside for you, tell the office. Tell them. They will help you. They fall over themselves to try to help the students.
That's cool.
They can't give the money back, but they hate ripping people off. They we don't make any money. We're a non-profit making organisation. And usually we are subsidised by kindly gentlemen who put some money in, otherwise we couldn't carry on. So do not be afraid to ask for any help at all of any sort. Sometimes they switch units, sometimes they switch parts of the course, sometimes they switch about, but do not take the view, oh, I haven't written to them for 9 months, therefore they'll be crossing me or something like that. No, they won't. They'll help you as much as they conceivably can.
Okay,
and, that applies to me too. If I can possibly help you, I will. There's only so much you can do in an email, but I sometimes write people emails that are 3 pages long, explaining this, that, or the other part of some damn thing. Nearly always the calculations, actually, so it's not as much as that. But with the other aspects, strength of ships, whatever it might be, I give them pointers and research sources.
Excellent, excellent. Now you just mentioned that. I mean, I'm doing the diploma. But you said,
right?
Yeah. So you mentioned that there's actually a BTEC course.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's still available. I don't. It was up until there are still students on the course doing BTEC, right?
Okay. Because I noticed that Unit 3, the book you've just shown me, it says Naval Architecture and Stability, and the Unit 3 that I have now is just called Stability.
That was merely a bit of IIMS. I don't know. We've got somebody who does all that work. I think it's Mike himself, and he likes to do a bit of PR and dolling the things up so that the books don't look out of date. But actually, it's the same book, and it doesn't make any difference.
Right. Okay. That's cool.
It comes about. If you do BTEC, that is the government. That is the British government, right?
Right.
We have to comply with all sorts of rules. If you do the diploma, we still have to abide by a load of rules, but it's under our control.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now, when you speak to the people in the office, which is usually Catherine,
Yeah.
or sometimes Kate, who does the accounts, but if you speak to them, they are employees of the IIMS in an office in Portchester. That's where they are. That's what they do. They get paid by the month or whatever it is. That's their job. I am, I suppose you'd call subcontract. Me and the other assessors, we do not work for the IIMS as such. They regard us as suppliers. They send it out to a lot of funny old boys like me. Some of them much cleverer than me, and they are just doing it partly out of the company. We do get a little reimbursement, but it's not very much, and we do it out of kindness of hearts, really, because we love that kind of thing. It makes a life for us. So the office get inspections by the government, right? They get government inspectors come in and go see what they're doing, and they'll pick up work that I've done perhaps and check it out, and whatever it may be. Mostly they're concerned with the systems, not so much by any means with the technical side of it, about which they don't know. We wouldn't know the front of a boat from the back. They nonetheless, they check it out as best they are able. So it's serious, legal, legitimate stuff. However, where we have the ability to see, the reason we don't offer, we have in the past had full-time courses. People would come on a course and come and stay there, and or in a local place and actually go on a course. And there are one or two things like that, but the cost is prohibitive. It costs all too much by the time students put in staying somewhere, and you've got to have an actual tutor standing there being paid up £1 a day and whatever it is, and the site and whatever it costs. Far too much for what the result is. Because whereas it's nice to be a surveyor and it's nice to have that, because it is not going to make you terribly rich unless you go into the commercial side of it. If you're in the commercial side of it, old John, my mate, old John, he has a bloody great house and some horses and a bit of an estate, really, and it all comes. But he goes off to New Zealand or somewhere like that with half a dozen other guys, and they go and survey some ocean liner that somebody's going to buy. It's big stuff, huge money involved. Sure. Not like that if you're doing a little powerboat for a local guy. It's not like that at all. The bill that you send him that you think isn't enough very nearly causes a divorce in his house. Well, such is life, isn't it? That's how it is. They have to have the surveys because the insurance company won't insure their boats otherwise.
Exactly.
So they have to do it, and they have to pay your bill, and that's it, not about it. But it's not, we're not talking huge money.
No. But again, I mean, most of those now they won't release the report until they've got the. Not ever in your life ever give a report to someone else, no matter, even if they're a relative, no matter who they are, how nice they are, or how rich they are. If you do, you will not get paid. Sure.
I got caught quite a lot when I was a kid. There you go, never again.
No.
They paid you the money, let them have the report, not before. I'm afraid it's human nature. Once they've got, even if they do pay you eventually, when you send the bill in, they put it down on one side and leave it till they get round to it.
Sure.
Which is bloody nuisance, because that was your bit of pocket money for the week, or you were going to do something with it. I'd pay the bloody phone bill, come to that. And so no, you are correct with that. That's perhaps the first thing that every surveyor should be taught. Don't hand out the report until you've seen the money, until you've got it in your hand.
Show me the cash, man. Show me the cash.
Yeah, and don't take a check. Oh, that's right, without having insurance on. This is the way of the world, and I'm afraid it very much applies to the boat trade all across the world. The boats are really very expensive things. The whole boating, yachting, everything, the whole thing, diving, come to that. It's bloody expensive.
It is. It is very expensive.
Yeah. Well, when I first started out, the men who worked in the boatyard were paid a pittance. They were very clever men and highly skilled, and they were paid bugger all. It's not like that anymore. As managing director of the last boat company I worked in, I was not paid as much as the top hands were. But that gives you an idea of how it clocks up if you go and have a few hours work done.
We do have the same problems in Switzerland.
Sorry?
We do have big problems in Switzerland.
Yes.
Effectively, the price of the boats are very high, and we do need a lot of tools to work on it, to refit them, to fix them, a lot of knowledge, big space, big yards.
I think not in Switzerland, but I think the French government do offer subsidies to fishing and small commercial practice, which allows people, for instance, I've got friends here who've got boats and they keep them in France because it is much cheaper than keeping them in the marina here. My buddy's just going away. He keeps his boat in Portugal. It's much cheaper, but it would be cheaper still in France for him. He just goes to Portugal because he likes it there. But that is not the case in Britain at all. The government thinks that all people do anything to do with boats are terrifically rich and are a source of taxes and pitch you as hard as they possibly can. And that applies in the States as well and other places. That the government is not particularly boat user friendly. I don't know what it's like in, well, I do know what it's like in Australia. It's pretty bloody expensive in Australia. But not as bad.
It's in New Zealand for marina berths and that, in Auckland and that, but it's just no different to here, really. Just expensive toys.
Yeah, well, there.
So we've got a big super yacht industry here, so we've got quite a highly skilled workforce in the marine sector.
You've got a
here.
good workforce there, and to all intents and purposes, both Australia and New Zealand are European, right? So they have the same sort of standards and the same attitudes and very much the same living styles as you might call European.
Yeah.
I don't know, you go to France or Germany or Italy, the people there live pretty well and they are well paid. Even the ones at the bottom of the pile are well paid, as well as the ones who are in management and design and all that kind of thing. So, yeah. Jesus Christ, and even in the States, I mean, we used to, a few years ago, I used to work for a company and we did about 3,000 boats a year, fiberglass. And that covered what we were likely to sell in the UK or right across Europe, right? We had a good dealer in Italy and a good dealer in France, but 3,000 boats was about the most we could run to. In the States, one dealer in one harbour would take the whole lot, all 3,000 of them, because they were to burn, and they would chuck them away when they were still nice, clean boats, that kind of thing, and dump them. Christ almighty, they had a good market resale in Britain, but they had far more money. The people had far more disposable money. I don't know if it's quite the same today. I think it might be a bit different, Mr. Trump or something. But generally speaking, the usage of boats in the States is entirely full of lakes and rivers. Most of them are used on those inland waterways. Nearly all the boats in Britain, not all of them, but nearly all of the boats are used on the coast. In Switzerland, there's Lake Geneva, I suppose. Yeah. Others, but that's
it's pity in Switzerland we don't build anymore.
No, that's right.
It's pity we can't teach anymore to young people who really like to become boat builders.
Yeah.
The last boat I built, it was the Halingi. Since
I'll tell you what you can do, for instance. So you can get in your car and you can drive down to the coast of Italy or the coast of France, which is very beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
There's boats there.
Mhm.
But there's nothing cheap there, that's for sure. There's nothing economical there. It's bloody expensive.
Switzerland doesn't do the America's Cup anymore either.
No, that's right. Yeah, I remember as a youth delivering. I used to deliver boats, and I delivered this boat on my trailer to Cannes in France. And I didn't know when I went there, but it was the Cannes Film Festival, you know.
A lot of bikini.
And on every seat, and every wall, and every cafe, and everything, there were beautiful girls from everywhere in Europe, hoping they. I could not drive my vehicle down the road. I'm like, yes, all the time. I remember it very vividly. Those were the days. I was a student then, and life was different.
The joys of driving a truck.
Yeah. It's a nice life, the boat trade, and I've been happy in it. There you go. What next? I wander off. I'll tell you what, this is what happens when you get old. You see, you wander off and doze on about this, that, and the other. Is there anything else specific that you can think of that you'd like to ask me? I don't. It doesn't look like we're going to get any other students. I don't. When you signed up, were you given a time? It started at 12 o'clock. Did they give you a shut-off time?
No,
it just gave me a 12 o'clock start time.
Yeah.
Well, the people in the office have buggered off to lunch, and there isn't anybody there. I'm miles away from the office is 40 miles away from here.
Right.
No, I didn't think that was your office.
No, this is just my little house, and I'm working at home. And this is what we call a conservatory. And I'm going to have a garden office built, but I haven't got around to it yet because we've only been here for a month. And then my wife will get me out of the house, and she'll love that.
I think the questions I wanted to ask, I've asked. So I will send an email to Catherine to get your email, Corey.
Yes, do that.
And I will allow her to give my email to anybody else, any of you guys, if you know.
Same for me.
I only have to reply, or your details that I need are all on the top of your email. You don't have to give out any more information than that whatsoever.
No, I'm thinking for these guys, you know, if Gordon or Olivier, you know, if you know, we're all in the same course together, if we can, you know, communicate with each other and, you know, send each other emails if we've got problems or
as much as you can. It really makes, if you just sit down and study books and study bits of stuff and peer at the paper, it becomes very onerous. It becomes heavy going.
Yeah,
but
sure.
if you've got somebody else to go along with you a bit, you're not going to write each other's papers, but if you can talk to other people and if you can get in touch and feel that it's all going along, then it is very much easier to do. And very often, I can make it a lot easier for you by saying, do not bother with that, do this, and you'll be able to cover that. And here's a book that'll tell it to you, or here's a site on the Wikipedia that'll tell you about that. Just read that, but understand it. But they do expect, the government does expect, that you'll be the kind of people that can go out and survey boats legally when you've got this course signed up. We really do not want to encourage people who are not serious about it and going to do it properly and honestly, so the customers, so the boaters at the end get the proper service. That is the idea of it all. So there you go. But if you want to sign off, then do. Well, you can sit in as long as you like. I'll sit here and talk to you all the afternoon, droning on, but we'll wander off the subject rather.
Well, just as a note, you know, that we had an introduction maybe a month, 6 weeks ago.
Yes.
5 weeks.
It was us, same three guys again. You know, Olivier, Gordon. You know, so yeah. I mean, it was us three guys again alone, and there was nobody else with us.
You know, I'm serious about it.
3/4 of the students I have never had anything to do with, bar their paper came across my desk which had come from the office. I've never had anything to do with them directly, but I would if I could. Yes?
Yeah, maybe we can do a WhatsApp platform.
Sure. WhatsApp, Viber, anything. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Okay.
We can...
If you want to get another site up and do one of those, we can do that. But the best thing by far is to ask the office. They will try and arrange anything that's at all legitimate. It is not very easy to do things over the phone because you can't describe things over the phone in a reasonable length of time. But here on the web, we've got these programs here which are free actually, and you can talk to people. I can talk to you one-to-one. You can come up on the Skype. I have a Skype address, and Skype's really good. And you know, I talk to my family around the world all the time on the damn Skype, and it's easier for me to talk on the Skype than it is to one who lives 10 miles down the road. Don't be afraid to use that. Ask Catherine; she'll give you a Skype address for me, and you can talk something through. You know, for an hour if you want to. It doesn't cost us any money or anything. We can talk as much as you wish. And go right through it, and you can show me a bit of paper. The quality of the Skype is much better than this.
Sure.
Much better than this. And I think that my brother lived in France, and he had very good quality Skype. Wonderful. I think he bought the program in Germany, but whatever. The quality is very good. And but that's going to be the same everywhere. The program's spread all around the world, and it's brilliant. And all sorts of old ladies are talking to their grandchildren on Skype, and the grandchildren live the other side of the world, that kind of thing. So I think that that is a good idea. And I am always pleased to hear from you. If when you Skype up to me and I'm not there, well, I'm not there, but I will see that you've tried a call, and I'll either try and get back to you, and we'll try and sort the answer. It's difficult for John and Gordon because it's the middle of the day here in Britain, and it's only an hour or so different in Switzerland, but it's the middle of the night in Australia and New Zealand. There again, I talk to my son in Brisbane, I suppose 2 or 3 times a week, something like that. I generally go about, if I talk to him about 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, that seems to work. I forgot, I can't get the dates right, but I think I get him just after he's come back from work then. And that is a good time to try. So from your point of view, if you were to come home from work and try me then, or soon after that, you'd probably get me in the morning when I'm not too bad. I probably had a cup of tea by then. All right. We could sort something out anyway. The first time we do it, that might be more difficult, but after that, we'll be able to set a time.
Sure.
I will give Catherine my Skype details later on. It's very, very easy to do. You only have to call. Do you have Skype on your computers?
Yeah.
I do, but I don't use it very much. I'm not all that tech savvy.
Do you have Skype, Olivia?
Pardon?
You have Skype?
Skype, yes, I do.
Yeah, and you can call to me. That gives you almost personal tuition. That's almost as good as sitting here. So I'd be delighted to do it for you or from any other student. If another student asks you, tell him, and I'll be only too pleased. Or her, they're girls, a lot of them, quite a lot of women here.
That's cool. That's cool.
Excellent.
John, Mario, John, I've got something for you before you go. I've got a contact for that John Cowan.
Go on him.
Oh, it's just an email address is john@niad.co.nz.co.nz.
All
right. niad.co.nz.
Yeah. And that's John Cowan's email address.
john@niad.co.nz. Cool. That's fantastic. Thank you, Gordon. I'll send him an email and
try and get some info from him. The whole thing's worthwhile. Your time was not wasted. You go to bed happily.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not waste at all. But gentlemen, thank you very much. I'll send an email to Catherine. I'll give her all my my contact details to pass on to you guys. I would imagine she'd probably expect an email from you, and likewise ask for my information, and I'll gladly give it. And then once we do that, and maybe we can start chatting on, as I say, WhatsApp, Skype, Viber, and yeah, let's try and help each other out, because it's a long slog.
It will be a great help for you. And
I'll do the same. I'll see that.
I cannot say that the other assessors will be the same. Some of them do, but some of them aren't like that at all, and they won't do that kind of thing because they don't have enough time or something like that. Some of them are people who are still working and they're running their own businesses or whatever, and they can't cope. But I certainly will. And anyway, if you get on top of this paper, the Unit 3, it will show you how to do the other ones as well. You have to get other research sources because, I mean, I am assessor for a number of other papers as well. I can't remember which ones, but I do rigging, aluminium yachts. I have done some steel boats, but I can certainly help with the steel. I've got the paper here and everything. I'm not the steel boat assessor, but I'll help you with it if so. And I don't know, I do 2 or 3 other ones. But I work for half a dozen other local companies too, and can't call it to mind at the moment. But always ask Catherine, she'll tell you.
Fantastic.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
I need to go. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for the time.
Very nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you.
Yes, and you, Carey. And we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, by all means. And if we come on the Skype, Olivia, it will be easier for us to. If you and I speak together, on the Skype,
okay,
is better, and the picture is better, and it will be easier for us to speak.
It will be a pleasure. Great.
Okay, wonderful.
Excellent. Thanks.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You gentlemen. We'll send the emails to Catherine as well, of course.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I know where Catherine is. There's Mike. I can see Mike. Mike.
Okay, guys. I've got to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Bye-bye. Those that wish to go, you don't have to go. You can stay if you like. Talk to me about
I'm going to go to bed. I'm worn out. I've been driving a digger and shovel and moving dirt all day, digging holes.
I'm going to try to talk to Mike now. Mike, can you hear me? Mike? No, he can't hear me. He's sitting the other side of his office and he can't hear me. There you go. Right, here we got Catherine, it says. We might get Catherine, perhaps, if we're very lucky, but I doubt it. Catherine, where are you? Well, she's there. Mike, can you see me? Can you hear me? Hello, Mike. Mike, I can see your shoulder. Hello, Mike.